From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
Your fourth stimulus check updated 2021 starts with the incredible reconciliation bill released by Congress. The first 645 pages and then 800 pages thereafter of your reconciliation bill has been released. And it's all lots of checks. Checks that are reoccurring, checks that are monthly, checks for adults, checks for seniors, checks for children, checks for cars, checks for vehicles, checks for bikes. All different types of checks like you have never seen in the history of this channel. Big checks, upwards of $50,000 for over 18 years. Checks on a $4,000 annual basis. Big, massive checks. As I had told you, there would be lots of them, and boy, there is a ton of these checks. Everything that's been reported on this channel for the last 8 months coming true, as the biggest recon we've ever seen in the history of this channel is now upon us. And this is just the first 645 pages. Boy, we got about 7,000 more pages potentially to do. It's all deliciousness. Did you see deliciousness yet? I think you should, because the toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here. And the big exciting news of your fourth stimulus recon starts right here, because guess what? It's coming to you, and it's lots of checks. Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful morning across the board, and I'm so excited for you. And the biggest payout we've ever seen in the history of this channel. These four stimulus reconciliation items are just incredible deliciousness. The White House, the Democrats, the House Ways and Means, all releasing the first 600 pages of what is the reconciliation. And it's just checks after checks after checks. Some checks $4,000, some checks growing for 18 years at $50,000, coming on a monthly basis to Americans across the globe. Then some checks that gives you the ability to buy vehicles, buy cars, buy bikes. Just incredible checks like I've never seen before. Checks for seniors, checks for workers, checks for individuals. And this is just the first 600 pages. Imagine what's going to be released as the days continue, because guess what? We're at the edge of the finish line. The tow hitch has passed over. The tow truck has passed over. Now it's a tow hitch. We got all the incredible deliciousness. It's a great morning. And guess what? Everything I've said to you would happen. And this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel, America. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoons. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto. Then is Morning's Countdown LALATE. And then Morning's LALATE live on air at 9 a.m. Then Morning's Crypto at 10 a.m. And then noontime at 11 a.m. So subscribe. There's a reason to subscribe to this channel. 139 million viewers and money like you've never seen before. I told you the fourth stimulus recon is going to have fortunes of checks for you. It's happened. That's why you stay with this channel. Accuracy, and I told you months ago, it became a reality yesterday. Also, like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes. Every like helps. Don't forget to like the video if you're watching, and consider becoming a member so that you learn about the big other money available right now under third stimulus. And when fourth stimulus becomes law, I'm going to break it all down for you as well. But first, let's go over those LA alerts. If you haven't signed up for those LA alerts, please do so. It's in the link to the description of this video. Put your name and email address in, and then you'll start receiving those alerts totally free. Absolutely. You don't want to miss a single video across the board. Thousands of you have already subscribed, but about 1,000 are still in the waiting mode. Make sure you confirm. Watch that confirmation email, and then you're ready to rock and roll. Let's cut to what happened yesterday. The format and structure of the shows are changing a little bit because there is so much breaking news, so I'm moving things around, but I want to get right into the recon. The reconciliation bill will be potentially in the thousands of pages. We don't know the final page count. Could be upwards of 8,000 pages. But the first 645 pages released to the American people on Friday. Then it went to 811 pages by Monday. The number of pages is expected to grow even today as well. Which pages have been released? The pages that have been released are the items, the checks that the Democrats have already agreed upon. And the ones that they haven't agreed upon have not been released yet. How does this work? The way the Democrats do this, because this is legislation just among Democrats, with Democrats, no Republicans involved, is they first verbally meet, House and Senate Democrats, talk about what they want to do behind closed doors without broadcast media recording them, not on the Senate floor, not on the House floor, in their offices, have a cup of coffee and saying, what do you think about these provisions? And once they say, yeah, I'm done, deal done, then they say, someone go write this and confirm our agreement. They look at it and say, yeah, that confirms what I said, release it, and that's done. Ultimately, there'll be a vote on that section of the 640. Well, ultimately, it will become part of a bill that will be voted upon. But they've already agreed upon that part of the bill. So that's a done deal. Once they have the verbal agreement, that item is over the finish line. So what do we have in front of us in this recording? We have really three different sections of checks. The first ones are the ones that are in the 646 pages. These checks, you could say, done deal, signed and sealed. Why? Because they verbally agreed to them. They said done, put it in the writing, and that will be called for a vote. The next group is about 12 items of checks that they've mentioned so many times to broadcast media that broadcast media and myself both agree that they're likely to get in there. Because at this point, it's just they've repeated so much, they're just trying to figure out the nuance of it. The last group is the highly likely but not as confirmed. And these are items that they have talked about in the last few months. And finally, we'll get to those IRS checks as well. These checks show why this channel has been what it has been. This channel was launched to get people money through application-based items from first, second, and third stimulus, where you picked up the phone, whether it was EIDL, PPP, PUA, LWA, SNAP, PEBT, any of these programs that you have tuned into this channel and had me explain to you how to get these items. This is what forced stimulus is about. It's not about anything automatically coming in your bank account anytime soon. It's about you picking up the phone and getting the money. So let's start with the first 645 pages that was released by Congress yesterday. And boy, it's exciting. I'm going to go over some of the broad items and then go over some specifics, but one of the most exciting ones right off the board is hazard pay, lifetime on the books. Wow. Hazard pay was introduced on this channel in 2020 when it first manifested in the HEROES Act, but that version never lasted. So the way they did hazard pay was modifying a part of the tax code under third stimulus in January this year called the Earned Income Tax Credit. They modified it by reducing the age lower so that more people qualify for it, and then growing the salary bracket so more people would fall within the scope of eligibility. More people would be eligible for it. And then they took the amount that would pay out and made it substantially higher. So they made more people eligible for it, and they made it pay more. That was third stimulus. But the problem with third stimulus is it's not lifetime, meaning it would expire, this tax provision, this modification, just for COVID-19 after a few years. Well, forced stimulus makes it lifetime. Wow. So if you're an essential worker, this is very big news. Next, do you care for the elderly, or do you care for a child? If you care for the elderly, and this may include some people that have an elderly parent at home and you are their care provider, you can get upwards of thousands of dollars per year. How much? $4,000 a year per person. Oh my goodness. Yes, this is a lot of money. Up to $4,000 of a tax credit to individuals who care for seniors is now lifetime under this forced stimulus recon. Also, if you care for young children, up to $4,000 as well. This is huge and a massive sum of money. Can we go even higher than that? We can. How about $50,000 paid monthly over 18 years? Yes, that's a monthly stimulus check. It's an MSC. It's a multiple stimulus check, and it's a lot of it. Who is it for? The earned income tax, the child tax credit. Yes, they're taking the child tax credit from third stimulus and making it a permanent part of the tax code, so that children from the age newborn all the way up to age 18 will be paid anywhere from $300 to $360 a month for 18 years, so long as the parent qualifies. That's about $50,000 to $60,000 over 18 years. Wow. Then there's a lot of other checks in there. There's checks for college students. There will be extension of new grants for college students, including the Pell's grant that will be now tax-free. There's checks being given to colleges so that those college students will qualify for the checks. There is other items in there as well that are really incredible. Checks for vehicles, checks for commercial vehicles, checks for bikes. Oh my goodness. So they're going to be increasing the amount that you can get if you buy an electric vehicle to now a whopping $7,500 for buying an electric car if it's from the major 3 manufacturers. Then they'll be giving other money for you if you buy an electric car for your work. Then they'll be giving up to 15% credit if you want to buy an electric bike. Wow. Moments before this recording, I went on one of the major retailers' websites to see how much an electric bike costs. They cost anywhere around about $300. So this is huge. This could be almost, $80, $90, $100 for the electric bike. Incredible details. The numbers continue across the board in this 600 pages. But and then they will give money to go rehab houses in low-income communities. Incredible, great news. So there you go. That is the first 635 pages of the recon release. Again, these are the items that they've verbally agreed upon. So these are a done deal. These are items they say, we've agreed to it, just call this, write it up. In a second, I'll be going over the items that amount to about 12 items that they have mentioned enough that broadcast media and myself believe they will get into the final bill item. There's so many of them that they keep on repeating that we really believe they will sustain it to the very end. Then after that, I'll be going over the other items that are very likely because they've been talking about them from the spring. Now let's go over where they are, what they're doing, and what's going on, because everyone's always fascinated about where the legislator is. So the legislators have been in town. They never left. They've been in town for the last 2 weeks, House and Democrats. And the issue of who's in session versus not in session means nothing for purposes of legislation, because what they're really doing now is just getting the agreements done on the items. That's the biggest thing. Getting what could be thousands of pages of items agreed to one after another. House subcommittees all in meetings this week getting this done. Senators all in meetings this week getting it done. But the senators are back in session. Don't expect any work on this on the Senate floor because they don't have the final bill to talk about. They may argue about the importance of certain things and argue about why they need things, but that's not anything that impacts us across the board. The negotiations that go on between the senators and the House members behind closed doors, not in front of cameras, not on C-SPAN, so you're not going to see it. Moreover, what's important to understand is that as the provisions of the reconciliation bill are released for 645 pages on Friday, 811 pages on Monday, broadcast media is approaching the coverage of the story different than this channel. What is broadcast media doing? They're covering the tax issue, raising U.S. tax, individual taxes, raising corporate taxes, because that's a very resonating story for their viewership. Their viewership wants to hear about taxes. They're not going to go over how much you're going to get for an electric bike from the fourth stimulus package. I am. So very, very different type of recording. I'm not going to record on the tax implications of the reconciliation bill because that's not really the scope of this channel, because I don't have people who watch this channel who make $5 million annual gross revenue per year. That's not my type of viewership. So now let's go back to what else is happening right now and what else is important to understand. What's important to understand is that this is part of several steps that have taken place to get this legislation to the finish line. This is called the reconciliation. And reconciliation is also very different from something else that's going on, and that's called infrastructure or roads and bridges. It's important to understand how we got to that spot by separating the two items out. And that separation started in the month of July when they said roads and bridges, you got to get them out of the reconciliation and put into something called the bipartisan. Now those roads and bridges are in the bipartisan. Bipartisan is going its own path. This is going in its own path. The higher the price tag was on the reconciliation before, the harder it was to pass. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from the recon, the roads and bridges, and put in the bipartisan, the overall price tag of the recon got smaller, making the bipartisan able to pass the recon. What's important to understand is that to get to this spot, the reconciliation had agreed to do the following thing. A price tag of 3.5 trillion, yes. And checks for the American people, yes. 4 stimulus checks, you've already seen the first 645 pages of those 4 stimulus checks that are going to be available for you. And they had gotten this done in the month of June when they agreed there'll be a recon. It would agree to be 3.5 trillion. It would be all checks from the American people. How did they get to that price tag? By arguing, negotiating for a big price tag because they wanted lots of checks for you. That's why Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat out of Minnesota, and Representative Richie Torres had argued for a bigger recon, and they got it, 3.5 trillion. And that's why the president told Jalopal and Brian Schatz, protect my recon because everything in there is checks from the American people, progressive checks. Now, you have seen as this channel has grown since day one, that the core of this channel still remains the same. I launched this channel in April of last year to show people how to apply for things. EIDL, EID loan, PPP, UI, PUA, LWA, PB, SNAP. We've been applying for things since day one on this channel. The scope of this channel is always to deliver you information about how to fill out something. Answer this question this right way. Wrong way won't get you applied. Right way will get you approved. That has always been what this channel is. For stimulus, all about picking up the phone and asking for the money. Nothing in there so far, with the exception of perhaps the child money, if you do file a tax return, is automatic. And that is why this channel has always been Stimulus 3.0, not Stimulus 1.0, where this is the big sums of money that are available for you right now. And how do we get to this wonderful spot? From Jalopal, who recently wrote Schumer a letter saying, Chuck, call the vote. In her letter, she called for a monthly stimulus check, and that letter was signed by 12 House Democrats, part of 100-plus House Democrats, who recently wrote to the president for a monthly IRS stimulus check in the fourth stimulus recon as well. That's different than these other stimulus checks. And yes, the House Ways and Means Committee recently wrote the president a letter saying we're going to be putting monthly IRS stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus recon as well. Can we top that? We can. As the push is underway to get that IRS check in there on top of these checks. But guess what? With just 600 pages released of the first recon, I got more of those checks for you starting in just a second. And with that, let's pull up the second part of this video starting right now. Here we go. Here is the second part of the checks that are proposed under the fourth stimulus recon. These are ones that are not on the 645-page part of the bill that was released on Friday, not part of the 811 pages released yesterday, but mentioned enough by the legislators that we all believe it's going to get in there. 1, expansion of the paid family leave. 2, expansion of the paid medical leave. A buildup of child care programs, extension of the household tax credit. Expansion of Medicare benefits to include dental checks, vision checks, hearing care checks, and reduction of the Medicare eligibility age, an extension of the Affordable Care Act, free pre-kindergarten school for all, free community college for all, or checks to go to community college, and then checks for green energy, including transportation and more. Wow, incredible, great news. And how do we get to this wonderful spot? We got to this wonderful spot by getting the recon separated from the bipartisan. That recon is very, very different from the bipartisan, so let's go over those two paths. First, your money, the reconciliation, not your money, the bipartisan. Recon is also called reconciliation or the budget bill, or the Democratic spending plan, or the Progressive Social Reform Plan. Bipartisan, not your money, also called infrastructure. Which one are we going over now? Well, the 645 pages released on Friday is what is the first few pages of the recon substantive. We've already agreed upon recon procedural, which is the committee will have $10, and the committee can have that $10 of the 3.5 trillion. Let's look at another graphic to understand how this works. Very, very straightforward. So what they agreed to in August, but started to the agreement actually in June, was that there would be a recon. That is agreed upon. That's law. There will be a recon, and the committees will be split with the money, $10 here, $20 there. So what are they doing right now? They're going item by item about how the committees can spend the money. And the 645 pages release shows the first items of agreement of where they're spending the money, the terms and conditions, who gets it, and how they gets it. As they go through the remaining couple thousands of pages, they're coming to agreement one after another of who else gets this money. And that's why Streets for Stimulus is so important. Lots of checks, and I got more checks coming for you up in the second half of this video. There's a lot of checks in this Forced Stimulus Recon, and boy, I have never seen so many checks of such big magnitude. I'll have more about these checks that are proposed under the Forced Stimulus Recon and are likely to be announced potentially in the next few days, or potentially even today. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. I want you to get as much money as you can under third stimulus, which I'll be detailing later in this video, because that third stimulus money is available right now, and it's a fortune. Here's a little bit about the community page, and I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as Early Mornings LALATE continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Early Mornings LALATE as checks, and more checks are revealed in the Forced Stimulus Recon. Oh my goodness. We'll be going over more about these incredible checks in this Forced Stimulus Recon. They're just checks of all kinds, and you are going to clean up because this is Stimulus 3.0, not amateur stimulus. This is professional stimulus. You're going to learn how to get all this big money. And I'll be going over a little bit more about what the legislators are doing today and what they're doing tomorrow. We'll cut back over a little bit as well to third stimulus because that's still paying out as well. And then finally, we'll go over what you should anticipate and how you should anticipate these big sums of money. And finally, that IRS recon as well, IRS MSC as well. So with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. I told you there would be lots of checks in the Forced Stimulus Recon. Told ya, here you go. All those naysayers disproven. And like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes. Consider becoming a member as well. Boy, if you tuned into last night's Evenings LALATE video, you enjoyed it. If you haven't, watch it right now. In that video, I went back over why this channel has been so different. This channel has been different because this channel was launched to show how to people to apply for things and get approved. How to apply for things and get approved. This channel was not launched as a news story to track when is something landing in my bank account. That has never been first, second, and third stimulus, and that became a confusing narrative. Moreover, over the last 4 months, we've had to endure a lot of naysayers to say there was no checks for anyone in the Forced Stimulus Recon. There's a lot of them. There's so much in there. I literally have a full table of papers about everything that's in there, and I'm going to go over more about it in a second. But first, here's something you need to know, is that the legislators have a lot of work to do, and that work may be a little confusing as to who goes first and where it goes first. It's likely that the legislation vote would start on the House side and then go to the Senate. Interesting nuance, because I told you that the House legislators are writing up the legislation, which they did. And I also told you that the senators may propose something alternative to what the House are proposing, which they're now suggesting as well. So even though you may see, for example, electric bike 15% off, or $4,000 to care for the seniors. Senators may come in and say, no, I want $7,000 to care for the seniors, or I want 25% off of the bike. They're not really disagreeing upon doing something or not doing something. They're sort of negotiating the provisions of how to spend the money. Very, very fascinating across the board. And it's important to understand that they're talking about a Wednesday date. I don't think that's so much an issue. And as they start to release the parts of the legislation, remember this is parts of what would become a full bill, and that the senators could still modify it. Let's turn to third stimulus for just a second. Third stimulus is absolutely a lot of money, and it's payable right now. And third stimulus just feels sort of like what's happening right with now, fourth stimulus. You're listening to this recording, you're like, I want that money, that $4,000 to care for a senior. That's me. Or I want to go to community college for free. I want to go back. How do I get that? You're listening, you're taking notes. That was the true spirit of the Purple Hawks when I launched it in April last year. I said, these are the items that are being proposed for third stimulus. Take note, because when it becomes law, I want you to get it. And guess the great news right today is that third stimulus, which became law in January, February, is still paying out today. So get that pen, paper, and cell phone ready, because I want to show you the big sums of money you can get right now. You can get some rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and homeowners utilities. The rent is paying a lot, and our inspiration story comes from Mark. He's the guy who you saw in this video over the last few days who got $50,000. Well, guess what? He helped his brother-in-law, and the brother-in-law got even more money overnight. Let's go over what Mark says in his new update. Hey, it's Mark again. I got my EIDL of $60,000. I got my money back from my state, which was $6,000. Tell viewers that my brother-in-law got $30,000 for rent. That's incredible. Our rent numbers on this channel were about $20,000. And now we see that Mark's brother-in-law is bringing us to even higher numbers. Let's pull up the graphic as we go through the details, what Mark says. My brother-in-law got $30,000 for rent. Look, that's even higher. Then he got $15,000 for utilities. Wow, that's double our highest number on that list, although Johnny got $9,000, we learned over the weekend. And they got $2,500 back from IRS, then $24,000 for EIDL. Then he got money for SNAP and internet and $6,000 from the state. So that's more than 3 items. Oh, and he got $21,000 for SNAP. Wow. So let's go over all the details where you get this big money right now. You're going to call 6 places. Each place has different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next. Contact all 6. They also have their own pot of money. And then I'm going to show you keywords to say. Finally, every state has this money. Here are the 6 places you reach out to. Your city hall, your city house authority. Your county hall, your county house authority. Your state hall, and your state house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. And that's it. There is what you get for that money for rent. Congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this wonderful money as well. If you got it as well, post in the live chat your success story. Then when we turn to SNAP, SNAP pays a fortune. SNAP is now paying upwards of $21,000. Where do you get it? From Department of Agriculture. And the great news is that the eligibility is easier than the third stimulus check. And guess what? Everyone's benefits are going up, an average of 25%, lifetime automatically starting October from Department of Agriculture. I can't believe I'm getting people $25,000 a year lifetime because of my recordings. It's overwhelming to know that I have had that impact on people. And then finally, the refund check from IRS coming by direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. And the check coming back from your state due to overpayment computer error, that's coming by direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. And with that, we go into the final 15 minutes of this video in this brand new early mornings broadcast starting right now. Well, here we go. The deal done for that reconciliation procedure has now begat us a wonderful reconciliation substantive 645-page part of a bill. The 645 pages first released on this channel are the first items that are agreed upon. So these items are literally over the finish line. These are the items they have said, do you agree? Yeah. Okay, now that you agree, we'll go write it up to confirm our agreement. And these checks are just a lot. Checks for all different types of items, whether it's hazard pay, money to buy an electric car, money to buy an electric vehicle, or 15% off to buy an electric bike, $4,000 to care for the elderly, money, $4,000 to care for children, $50,000 over 18 years for children, or also money for college students. We have that. Then what's we think is going to come in the next 48 hours potentially is these other items like free community college checks, so you can go to community college for free preschool, so they'll pay for your preschool up to preschool, pre-K, and lots of other items like what I had said was coming in the horizon. Those items come in the horizon that are highly likely but not yet confirmed are cheaper prescription medication, free school meals for all checks, tax break checks, free internet checks, worker protection checks, independent contractor checks, Medicare expansion checks, lowering the eligibility for Medicare, checks for dental, checks for vision, checks for hearing care. Wow. Those all are checks that embody the true spirit of this channel. Learning how to get something, figuring out how to get it, learning where the application is, going through the application. That's what this channel was launched for. This is what this channel has always been, and this channel is what it is. Last night, please, if you missed last night's Evenings LALATE, please watch that video. But basically what I went over in that video is sort of a look down memory lane of what this channel has always been, which has always been showing you how to get money, not telling you the money's coming. There was 1 week where I said the money's coming, but it's always been about showing you how to get the money, not showing you when the money is coming. And that is why this channel launched as a channel, is showing you how to apply for stimulus items, EIDL, PPP, PUA, LWA, and was not a stimulus channel originally. When I moved into stimulus, I noticed all the other stimulus channels, many of which no longer exist, they were just reading news articles, never helping anyone get any money. And I said, well, that's going to implode, because when we get to third stimulus, it's all about applying to get the money. And if you don't show people how to apply to get the money, they won't know how to get it, and then there will be no value to the recording. And that's ultimately what happened. Now, as we go into fourth stimulus, you see now that this is stimulus advance. This is stimulus 3.0. This is a lot of money, a lot of different checks. You certainly qualify for multiple checks under this fourth stimulus recon, lots of them. And some of them are monthly, some of them are lifetime, some of them could go on year after year. And suddenly the benefit of the recording could last you a generation. You could potentially be walking away with $50,000 over 18 years because you're watching the recording and understand how to do something. Or you're a essential worker and you're getting $2,000-3,000 a year, or you're caring for an elderly and suddenly you're realizing I can get $4,000 a year because I watched this YouTube channel. That's what this channel has always been. You see, Mark and his brother-in-law is going to get $21,000 a lifetime for Snap because he's watched this channel. That's what I do here. That's the value of the recording. So what's important to understand is that they still got more legislation to do, more pages of the legislation to do. And as they do those more pages of legislation, a lot of issues at hand. One of them is what I now call the IRS MSC. I've added the word IRS to the equation because MSC now is a little confusing, because there is monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus recon, and there is multiple stimulus checks in the recon. So this is the IRS one that you're frequently understood as the $1,400 on the third stimulus or $600 under second stimulus. Democrats have always wanted to give you a monthly stimulus check, an IRS MSC, whether it's AOC or Omar, who proposed $2,000 a month, Bernie, Chuck, and also Warren, who proposed monthly on the Senate side. The House Ways and Means Committee for stimulus was part of their mandate as well. But ultimately, sometimes IRS stimulus checks are added at the very last minute. They may be added on the Senate side. They may be added on the House side. Time to push. And that push started weeks ago. It should not just start today. I told viewers about 8 weeks ago, pick up the phone and call their Democratic senators. And Margaret tells me she did. And also, WR did. He picked up the phone and called Senator Chris Coons and Bush and said, I want to advocate for an MSC. I want to tell you why. Advocacy involves a sentence with a period at the end, not a question mark. He said, I want to tell you why I want an MSC. And the staffer said for Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, Joe Biden's old confidant, yes, he's going to be proposing a fourth stimulus in the fourth stimulus recon. Now, that's a world exclusive, and that's incredible, great news. But some people sometimes take that the wrong way. Number one, they may take it as, oh, so he called up, we got it. So, okay, just tell me when it's landed in my bank account. No, no, no. You should have picked up the phone and called as well. You don't have WR do all your work for you. That's not what we do here on this channel. You don't have one person do all your work. Say, he called, so I have to call anymore because he called, so, it's all taken care of. No, no, no. You have to push. Number two, it's called advocacy. It's called advocacy. Advocating for stuff that's yours. Advocacy is not a question mark. When, where, how, why. No, no, no. You have to advocate. And that advocacy continued 2 weeks ago as the budget committee chairman, Bernie Sanders, said, I want to hear from you. What was at issue? The budget bill at issue is the forced stimulus recon. And the committee on the Senate side that oversees it is the Senate Budget Committee. It's Chairman Bernie Sanders, and he said to broadcast media 2 weeks ago, unlike prior budget chairmen, I like to get out amongst the people to hear from them. Amongst the people means he wants to hear from you. He wants to hear what you want to advocate for. And I told viewers to pick up the phone and call him. Lynn Glenn called him, and Brother Joshua, 2020 volunteer for the community page, spoke to Bernie Sanders' staffer, and the staffer said yes. Senator Bernie Sanders will be proposing a monthly forced stimulus recon. There you go. That's what advocacy gets for you. You advocate. And then the staffer told Brother Joshua, $1,000 to $1,400 a month, 3 to 6 months, but needs the support of the purple the Purple Power. Well, we got this one, Purple Power. Pick up the phone and call your Democratic senators, every single one of them. Jolipal, Schumer, Bernie, also AOC, Warren, and advocate for a stimulus check. Not a question mark, a sentence. Advocate. I need it. I'll tell you why I need it. IRS stimulus, of course, I'm talking about. And advocate because they want to hear from you. Ultimately, Bernie's numbers look like 9,000 on the high end compared to the 6 months over the House bill, which would be 12 months, $13,000. But every dollar makes a difference. Where we are right now is the following. The recon's first 645 pages of what could be upwards of an 8,000-page bill. Done deal. They've agreed verbally on these items. They said, go write it, and now they've written it. And these items are checks. And these checks are coming to you if you ask for them. Not automatic, not direct deposit, not because you just have beautiful hair and wear a beautiful shirt. Nope, you got to pick up the phone and ask for the money. It's a lot of it. Anything from a single year to multiple years or multiple months. And big checks, $4,000 for that one item for caring for the seniors. And monthly checks in the case of children. And big items like 15% off of buying this or $7,500 off of buying that. Big sums of money, whether you're not buying something or are buying something, where you're helping someone or not helping something. Lots of different checks. Then the other checks that they're going through, this is just the first 600 pages. This is just the first 600 pages. The other items, as they're going through, start to go through each of the items, and we have about 12 items they're proposing. Those items are heating up as well. Everything for checks for students, checks for free education, checks for things like that. And then as we go into the final grouping, all the big money for seniors like Medicare and dental and vision and hearing, the items we've all talked about for upwards of 4 or 5 months. But to look back on what we got to and how we got here, it's just wonderful. People said originally to us, the recon is only roads and bridges. Untrue. The recon is never going to pass. Untrue, it passed. The recon has no checks in it. It's just to run the federal government. Untrue. It's 100% checks for the American people. And finally, there would be no checks for anyone, and certainly nothing monthly, let alone anything you would qualify under the forced stimulus recon. Untrue. All the naysayers are now eating crow because all their naysaying false narratives have been disproven. And it's ironic because I had a laugh last night. I think you have to laugh with me. That even yesterday, which was Monday afternoon, as we were now 4 or 5 days post-release of the 645-page bill, which was released on Friday, as of Monday afternoon, with the comments still closed on this channel because of me, someone tried to jump into an older video and post a comment. See, he doesn't want comments to appear because there's no checks in the forced stimulus recon. Hysterical. That comment, of course, did not post, but It's hysterical because people go to such lengths to tell you there's nothing there for you. Congratulations to all the people who got this big money on the third stimulus. Continue to push across the board because that money is available right now. Start reaching out to your city hall, city housing authority, county hall, county housing authority. Get that big sums of money right now. And join me next on Overnight's Crypto playing on the channel. Then I'm back with you with Countdown LA at 7 a.m., our new hit show. Then Mornings LA at 9, Mornings Crypto at 10, and noontime at 11. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube record. I want your part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Castle, VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA.